Dude, I just wrapped up an incredible case study interview with one of my amazing clients and good friends, Mr. James Boardman. This guy is an ex-Royal Marine, commando, sniper, sergeant, best-selling author, and now he is a coach and a mentor to men in leadership roles and business owners, doing phenomenally well, multi-six figures, absolutely crushing it. And we deep dive on his business. We looked at his model, his offering, the problems that he's been facing and how he's been overcoming those problems. You're gonna find so much value in this video. So grab yourself a brew, get comfortable, check it out, and I'll see you on the other side.
When you go deeper on your foundations, your skyscraper that you build is gonna be so much bigger. I feel so aligned and so in love with my business more than I ever. If you asked me a year ago, I was miserable, man. But what I love most, mate, is, and I think this is missing massively, is just your true authenticity and your true passion.
Team, today we are very, very fortunate to be joined by one of my clients, one of my good friends now, and also one of my coaches. So this is like a three-way relationship in the non-weirdest way possible.
It's got weird. It's got weird.
It's gone weird already. We're 10 seconds in. Mate, let's kick off with the kind of overarching premise of kind of what you do, how you help your guys. Like, what is the core outcomes of working with JB in Mission 365?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is just to say that I do only work with men. And I think that's an important phase of that. A lot of women are like, well, it applies to women too. And I agree, a lot of the stuff we do. But the reason I only work with men is because when I set out on my mission, it was to help people like me when I was in a really bad position. So I really understand what men go through. I don't really fully understand what women go through in that respect. So I think the first thing to understand is that. And then there's four main things that I would say that we help men do. Number one is build this work-life balance bridge between running their business, their leadership role, and being the king of their home and the role model to their children, right? So there's this bridge that we've got to learn to build and manage as well and withstand. Another clear thing is that a lot of guys are stuck in this cycle of chaos, in this loop where they just keep going round and round and round, and they're doing very much of the same thing that is frustrating them, that they are burying their head in the sand. Then they're not stopping to look at the reflection in the mirror and go, this is a problem, I need to solve this problem. So they don't really have a lot of structure, routine, or systems, okay? And with that comes a lack of discipline. Then the third one is really, it's about helping that man build themselves the identity that they need to be. So for a lot of men, they wake up, go through the day and go to bed, not really knowing who they are, what they stand for, what their values are, because they're so caught up in the day-to-day and they're so focused on the business pillar that they fail to take a really good look at who they are and what they're like and what they're doing it all for. Okay.
That's the one that I resonate with the most, man. That's essentially why I started working with you. Is I felt like so much of my life was centered around the business piece. And 100%. I felt like I had kind of not all my ducks in a row with the business, but had a lot of energy and focus in that area. And what you've just spoken about there is the thing that I felt was lacking for me. So
yeah, 100%. I call it wild ambitious. So it's untamed ambition. So we got so much ambition, like we just don't know what to do with it. It's like having loads of energy, but we just drive. You know, the 5 pillars that we work from, that business pillar dominates 80% of our time, our energy, and our mindset. And we're like that leaves only 20% for your own growth, your health, your wife, your kids. You know, having fun and. And then it leads on to the fourth thing, which is then you misplace those priorities. And you're like, what is the point of building something incredible professionally if you're never around to enjoy that, right? To the fruits of that. And I think the most harshest reality is that there is 2 different scenarios, right? There is the one scenario where you can grow with your family and you can build this thing for your family and you're with them aligned. Or you can sit in your bed with loads of money in the bank and watching another man bring up your kids and look after your wife because they're making time for them. Because believe it or not, or whether you think it's going to happen, doesn't matter how strong you are, if you keep going the way you're going to go, they eventually learn to live without you. So for you, when they drop the, and by the way, this is experience of guys I've had on the phone crying down the phone to me going, I didn't see it coming. They fell out of love with you a year ago because you were busy building the business, and you were busy and we've all got to work. Listen, we've all got to build a business, we've all got to build a career, but not at the sacrifice of that success at home, to the point where they don't even recognize you anymore, and you're coming home at late and you're like, what's the point? We've fallen out of love. So it really matters to me, when we did our one-to-one yesterday, just you talking about the kids hugging you more, like that just gets me like really excited, because that's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
100%.
how you'll be remembered.
One
Yeah.
of the things that I picked out from what you said right at the beginning of all of that was the fact that you specifically work with men, and it's because you understand their challenges and their problems. And I think this is like a common theme that I hear amongst all of the great coaching business owners that I speak to. They always operate from a place of lived experience, almost always.
Yeah.
I think although we can learn the tangible skills required to help people, even if you haven't been through those things yourself authentically, you just operate at a much higher level and with a deeper level of understanding, emotional understanding of what the challenges of your clients are and the problems that they face if you've been through those things yourself. And I think that's something that I recognize a lot in some of the best coaching business owners. So that was really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome, man. You kind of touched on there as you were explaining the promise of your program, and I've written this out. You kind of touched on the problems that you're helping with. If you had to condense those problems down into like 3 big hairy problems that you help your clients with, how would you sum those up?
So I would say, the first, in fact, in no particular order, I would say the first one is pretty much identity and alignment. So identity of who you are, what your visions are, what you want what do you actually want your life to look like, and building that vision up and building that picture. So we then feel aligned to the mission, the direction, and the way that we're going. We then come down to, I think the next section would be very much around SRS, we call it, which is structure, routine, and systems of how you manage your time, energy, and focus. So we abbreviate these, the SRS, TEF. Your time, your energy, and focus, for me, are your biggest assets. What you do with your time, there is no bigger asset in your life other than like time. And I was actually only thinking, God, it was 2 weeks ago when I saw you at your live thing, and I'm like, those 2 weeks are just gone, right?
Yeah.
And then if you look back at those 2 weeks and go, what have we done in those 2 weeks? And have we had the foundations, the structure, routine, and systems to go, man, I could turn around and go, I've done X, Y, and Z to move me forwards, or have we just thought a lot of BS that's in our head and
procrastination and shit and all that stuff?
Yeah, all of that stuff. Then your energy is another asset. It's like the energy that you put into your wife, the energy you put into your kids, the energy you put into yourself. You notice how I speak about those first 3 things before we even put energy into the business. Because if the energy is not at those things at home, if you're not building success from home first, then what ends up happening is that you're in the business, you're feeling guilty, and you can't concentrate properly. A man that has alignment with his family and is building success from home and is taking care of himself, if you want to double your business, simply just focus on you as the self-leader. And I remember one guy who ran a fencing company. He was doing 250K a year. I didn't intervene in the business at all, but we pulled him out of the business. We changed his SRS of how he spent his time and energy and focus. He doubled his business in 8 months just by doing the right thing and being a better leader.
Yeah.
So
it's
it
funny,
makes you
isn't it?
more.
Because one thing that I would say about your coaching business is that although you don't directly speak to the outcome of making more money in your business as a business owner, it is quite often a really consistent byproduct of working with you, isn't it? It's like these guys get a hold of, like you say, their systems and their routines, and
100%.
they start making more money because of it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like the conversation we've had, right? It's like that I know that you need to go deeper on your foundations. When you go deeper on your foundations, your skyscraper that you build is going to be so much bigger.
Yeah.
Whereas you can only reach so much growth on very weak foundations before it tumbles over and everything crashes, right? Crashes and burns around you. So I think like the structure, routine, and the system, and then the the identity and alignment. And then it's I would say a big part of it is execution and accountability. So the biggest thing that kind of glues this together is having a Royal Marine Commando Sergeant, PTI, sniper going,
Yeah.
what are you doing? This is what we said we were going to do. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
And the reason that most men will progress more in 3 months than 1 year is because we're going, why are you still thinking about it? Why are we still thinking about it? Make the move. I'll give you an example today. There was one guy who I spoke to, and I said to him, if you could do anything, what would it be? And he said, I'd love to try and build a side hustle around helping people run trails, like trail running. And I said, okay, what have you done? He goes, oh, I've looked at some of the courses I need to do. I know that I need to join a run. I'll think about doing this over the next couple of months. Right there and then, I made him join the membership, sign up to the club, and book in his first race. And he was going to wait 2 months to do that.
Yeah.
That's the difference between what you're thinking is a good game and then going, just cut the BS, do it right now, go. And that's the difference. And that saved him 2-3 months. And that's how you can move forward so much, right?
Mate, and I think that's one of the things that we as coaches need to really double down on and lean into over this kind of time period where AI, you know, information is everywhere and anybody can go on ChatGPT or Claude or Google, whatever, and get the answers to the problems that they're facing. But actually having somebody who's in their corner, who's holding the mirror up, holding them to a higher standard and making them take action on the things that they said they were going to do, that's the reason that people will pay exponentially more for a coach over getting free advice from ChatGPT or whatever, you know.
100%. Yeah, so, all those people using AI at the minute will burn out because they eventually won't have the systems to sustain what they're trying to do. It's like anyone, right? You look at anyone in the fitness industry, they all start off well for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. Then they say they can do it by themselves. And the problem is they don't have the structure, the routine or the systems to then stay consistent. And it's the same with leadership. It's the same with being a good husband. It's the same with building a business. It's all the foundations that we build. The deeper we build, everyone's so keen to move forwards with their life. And it's like, when was the last time you wrote down goals? When was the last time you got up consistently or went to the gym together? When was the last time you constantly did what you said you were going to do? And it's like, that's where that accountability piece, because when we hit that lull, you know, it's kind of like a mountain range. When we start going down, that's when you need someone to go, boom, up, let's go. You know, that's why I've got you. You know, that's why it's like I am around the group. I want to make sure that I'm at my highest top of my game. When I'm feeling quite like, we had a coaching call last week and just my whole mood then shifted right back up. Let's go. And that's why everybody needs somebody in their corner that gives you shit and just like, boom, let's level up.
100%, man. 100%. That's awesome. So promise in the middle of the triangle is working with men. You build the work-life balance bridge, get them out of the cycle of chaos, build themselves the right identity, and make them prioritize the right things around family life and giving them the foundations to actually build from. And then the big hairy problems that you typically help your guys with is identity and alignment, the structure, routine and systems, and then the execution and accountability. If we're going to dig into each of those, let's start with identity and alignment. What are some of the 2 or 3 kind of things that you do to help guys get their identity and alignment on track and in the right direction?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to step out of the rat race and actually breathe. Do you know what I mean? Because we're going like this. If you think about the fast lane of the M25, we're going 100 miles an hour. You can't stop to think when you're going at 100 miles an hour. So we're going to bring them into the slow lane, stop back and do some self-reflection about actually, where are you? How have you been performing? We do the life audit. So the life audit is a score of each of the pillars out of 10. Never allowed to score yourself 7. So there's a potential 50 points. And I would say that most people that are honest with themselves, an average score would be around 19 to 21,
right?
And that is the eye opener to go, oh my God, I am so out of alignment. I am so much deeper than I thought it was going to be. But it's actually getting those guys to stop and reflect and actually think.
Yeah, love that. Anything else that you do as it relates to the identity and alignment piece, or is it just like the reflection and the self-audit?
Yeah, so we then go on to the accountability. So we do accountability in the mornings and the evenings. So your morning accountability, your evening accountability. We then do weekly planning and review, and then we have a Wednesday check-in to make sure that you're on track. So all of these micro little touch points keep bringing you back. If you imagine in the middle of a field, right? Let's say Wembley, put a flag in the middle and say, that's my mission. When you let go of that flag, you walk away and you go and live your normal life. Every evening, you kind of come back and check in with that mission and check that you're on point.
Yeah.
When you don't do that check-in, when you don't come back to the center flag, you move further and further and further away from that
it slightly, right?
and that's you drifting, right? And then
Yeah.
suddenly you become misaligned. So all of that accountability is about reconnecting with the identity, with the man that you said that you wanted to be and were going to be. And that work is continuous all the time, Monday to like all the time. And that really builds the internal dialogue.
Love it. What about SRS, dude? What are you doing with your clients to help them get the right structure, routine, and systems in place?
Yep. So again, we educate, and word is educate men how to plan. Men don't make goals or plans and stuff like that. So we kind of have a morning routine, we have an evening routine, we have the kill zones, which is time blocks. So we educate people how to manage and manipulate their time so that there are boundaries. There are boundaries. There are peak energy periods when we're doing growth work and lighter work. There are cut-off points for building discipline, showing men how to be more disciplined with these systems, and making sure that they're being consistent with them. So ideally, men don't know how to self-lead themselves at that level. Where do we ever learn this stuff? We don't. And it's like going back to school in terms of going, okay, I'm going to try this system. And it's been proven for so many people coming through, right? And it makes the difference of you being more efficient.
Well, one of the things that I've taken like the most value from of our time working together is like the structure and the routine around, what does my working week look like? But it's not just like, what does my working week look like, with the view of making sure that I'm prioritizing the right things as it relates to family, building the right relationships, building the right foundations. Yeah. So having my Friday routine, my Friday wind down routine, like you recognize things and habits that I was doing over the weekend that weren't conducive to my family being, looked after and cared for the way that they should be. And so it wasn't a case of saying, Ollie, you're doing this all wrong. It's like, why don't we do this on a Friday so that you don't have to do that on a Saturday and Sunday? And it's just simple things like that. But like you said, like we don't learn this stuff in school. And this is why you teach this stuff, right? It's so invaluable.
And it takes time. If you think about how long it's taken us to get to even just to this point, and this is the thing, is that you unpack all of this stuff, but then you slowly start to get it. And what you have to do is untrain the old way of thinking. It's, you fall into particular patterns of behavior and the way that you work and your belief system. And what we have to do is almost disrupt that. It becomes chaos. Sometimes you reject it and resist it, and then you fall into it and you go, actually, this is working. And sometimes you're only 6 inches off the ground. It's like, I remember seeing a kid 6 inches, that overthinking, like, oh my God. And, oh, it's only there. It's like, oh my God, this works so much better. Like it's that epiphany moment. But that's where it takes the time to reprogram everything.
For sure. And then, so I kind of feel like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like you covered the execution and accountability problem with some of the things that you spoke about, the weekly planning and the review, that's kind of tied in with the identity and alignment problem that you solved. So I feel like we covered that.
And constant, like there's always constant communication and reminders. So we do our Wednesday weekly mission focus session. I check in with all of my guys at the very start of the month. My one-to-ones, I pretty much live in your DMs, pissing everyone off. Just constantly, are you on it? Are you on it? Are you on it? So there's, it's constantly, I think for me, being a mentor is so important to be present all the time, every day. Like I just feel, even just like dropping a little quote or dropping a little video or just somehow making sure I want them to know that I'm watching. Like,
you're always not in a mind. Yeah, you're always, I mean, one thing I will say is that like JB is in my notifications at some point in some form or another every single day. Which even if it's got nothing to do with what we're doing and the work we're doing together, it's this like it's a subconscious cue that like you say, JB's watching. I need to do what I'm supposed to do because I know you're always there, and I think that's invaluable. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm a big believer being centre in front of. I lost track of that a couple of years ago and tried to bring in the coaches and stuff. You know how that
Yeah, yeah,
fits, and
I've
I
done all that. Yep.
I want to be part of every man that comes through our front door journey. Like I want to be like, even if it's 200 guys, like my job would just eventually be Monday to Friday, sitting here just messaging men and talking to men, and like I get so much satisfaction from talking to men and helping them see things differently,
Yeah,
that the more that I do it, just the better I get at it
yeah,
all the time. And it makes me reflect my own life. And I'm like, yeah, I need to do that better as well. I'm human. I'm not sitting here going, I'm perfect.
hmm,
And the beauty is that I feel this need to lead myself to make sure I'm leading everyone else.
yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's like accountability to your clients almost, and like walking the walk for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's awesome. I just want to very quickly run through kind of where you were at prior to joining Remote Pro, and specifically talk about some of the big challenges and frustrations that you felt. And sometimes these, although they're labeled as big challenges and frustrations, they could be just small things that were
Yeah,
maybe eating away at you, or you weren't too sure what to do. And then what
yeah,
the specific Remote Pro unlock was for you that made you have that epiphany moment, or that moment of
yeah.
clarity where you've now got some structure with it. So talk me through some of the challenges and some of the unlocks.
So ironically, it's almost a year, isn't it? So it's a
Yeah.
year on the 7th of May. And I went to AdCon a year ago. I come out of that and I was like, God, I'm pumped. But I don't like my business. Like I was out of love with my business a year ago.
Hmm.
And that was because my structure and delivery was all over the place. And I think we had spoken a podcast before AdCon,
Hmm.
and like you invited me to join the program, and I did, and I really, really loved it. And I literally set to work straight away. I remember
You did.
dismantling everything,
Yeah.
and then rebuilding. So we come up with the name Mission Pro. Before meeting you, I didn't have an identity of a business. Like it was James Boardman. Yeah, it was remember the mission, but it didn't feel like it had a clear identity.
Hmm.
Working with you and working on like what you were doing, and like the course is unbelievable, but even just watching you and the way that you operate as well was teaching me about and the stupid thing is I already know about brand and
Yeah.
identity, but I needed I needed
You
that
needed to see it, you kind of needed to see it from the inside of like
yes,
how it could be done for you to go,
yes,
this is how I can portray it for my own thing.
yeah, 100%. And as you know, like the stuff that I was trying before, I didn't align with. It didn't align with me. It wasn't what I wanted. And this was brilliant. And then Mission Pro come out. We then set up Mission 365. We basically built this funnel out where we tried lots of different things to the point now where we have this year's like we're running our 4 or 5 day now right now. So we've got ads that are running really well. People come through our 5 dayer. They then join our mission 6. They're then invited to join our mission 365. And then anyone that I feel is suitable for the top 1% will then come into my private one-to-one mentor. We have this, I just feel organized.
Yeah.
Like it's really, before it was just like, if I was a 5-year-old on this wall and I just went like that, whereas now I could draw a structure like a rectangle or something. It
You
just looks
know where,
organized.
you know the different, where people are
Yes.
coming in, what it's leading to, how you're ascending people,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say, like,
All
I would kind of label that as chaos to clear ascension plan. You kind of like
Yeah.
everything, you know how it's structured, you know how it's all working.
100%. And everybody does. The team knows what happens. The onboarding is next level. Like, just everything has gone from here to here in terms of delivery, execution, understanding,
Nice.
attention to detail. And and we haven't even finished, the next year, what I really want to deliver is I've got got to sort this ecam out. There's like I've got to get my head around this ecam,
I'm
but
going to do that
it's
with
then
you.
but then the content, like, I am, like I sent you that more message this morning. I am like, just my business is almost set up now for me to all I do is coach and do content. That's it.
Yeah.
Coach and content. They're my two jobs. And I've got these next 2 weeks that are busy, but then I'm going all in on the formats that we've spoken about, and just I'm building the studio in here. So I'm taking content more seriously. And that's a massive thing I've got from you. Massive, in fact, in terms of the way that we move the content forwards, how we engage with those people. Instagram, I think we've grown by 5,000 followers since in the last year,
Amazing.
which I actually think is quite small, but it's
no, I think it's
it
good,
is.
man.
Yeah, I mean, the potential now, like we've set ourselves a little goal, right, for the end of the year, and I'm like, I am locked in on that, and that's what, like, being part of the group. The meets have been brilliant, like the face-to-face meets. Every delivery that you do is outstanding. I'm probably like, I'm not just saying this, like I have high standards as it is. So, I've seen some and they're just like a mess, whereas everything is pinpoint. You even look at your background now and I'm like, and I look at my background, I'm like, I've got these white walls going on here. And I'm like, what's going on? But it's little things like that I constantly am going, that's the standard I need to get to, so that there is a better background, there's a better camera. I've been going on about leveling up now, but everything happens at the right time in the right business, right? And I think you've taught me to go, first let's get the business sorted out, and then that's all the sexy stuff that kind of makes
a little 1% marginal gains. 100%.
And that's it. So, it's been huge. The community is brilliant. There are like some brilliant people in there, really, really great guys. And, I came away from 2 weeks ago just going, I've literally loved being a part of that group. It's such a nice little group as well. So, mate, you've done a fantastic job. Brilliant job. But what I love most, mate, is, and I think this is missing massively, is just your true authenticity and your true passion. And we're the same because we actually care. Yeah. Like, you actually care. And, you're not fobbing me off to another coach. You're like, cool, dude. And when someone's down, you're like, I'll get straight on it, bang on it. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and it makes me equally want you to be so successful, because I'm also your mentor. On the flip side, I'm like, cannot wait to watch you explode over the next 18 months and be like, be a part of that journey in the early days that set everything up for you to then go boom. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's exciting.
Yeah, mate. It's been an incredible 11 months, not just as a client-coach relationship on both sides of the coin, but just making a really great friend, and that's kind of what I've set out with Remote Pro to be, is just like an opportunity to, work with people and advise them, but to make great friends along the way. And I'm really lucky that up until now, it's, touch wood, it's been, everybody's a friend, everybody's a great connection. And
I think we should want to go out for a beer with it. I look at all my lads, I go out for a beer with every single one of them.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's such an important and measurable metric of how confident and happy you are with your business and your delivery. Yeah. Because I can openly say, I remember a time where I would be worried about bumping into a client because I knew that I wasn't delivering what I should be when I had the big team and everything was delegated, Yeah. But actually, like, it just couldn't be any further from that now, So
that's part of my learning now as well. I'm the same. I know that I'm delivering as a coach better than I ever have, and I think I don't mind being open about it, but I think my therapy's helped that. I think being in your group has helped that. Your influence has definitely helped that as well, and it's made me really come back to the front lines of coaching and being in the mix of them, and not doing this, you can only get hold of me. I'm like fucking available whenever, and that. I feel so aligned and so in love with my business more than I ever. If you asked me a year ago, I was miserable, man. I was miserable. I didn't even know which way to go. So yeah, I'm very grateful, mate.
I'm glad. You deserve it, mate. Well, dude, thank you so much for that. I know you need to get away and see Jem, see the kids. Appreciate you massively, man. And I'll link all of James's stuff below so you can go and check him out. Absolutely epic, dude. See you soon, my man.
Thanks, brother.
See you later. If you've enjoyed this case study interview and you took some value from it, then please like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for future videos like this coming out very soon. And if you want help growing your own online coaching or consulting business, and you want to do it the Remote Pro way, the way that James did it in this video, then just follow the instructions in the description below. You can either message me directly on Instagram, we can have a conversation, or you can just read the offer document and get yourself signed up immediately if everything sounds like it's just right for you. See you on the other side. Peace and love.